The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly was the largest structure ever built by intelligent beings. It floated in the empty space between three star systems, a massive ring of crystal and metal that could hold millions of creatures from across the known universe. Today, it held representatives from 2,000 different species, all gathered for one purpose: to decide the fate of humanity. Ambassador Daniel Grant stood alone at the central platform. He was a tall man, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 20 years speaking for Earth in this hall. He had made friends among the alien races. He had learned their languages, their customs, their fears, and now he watched as those friends prepared to throw his entire species into the darkness of exile. High Chancellor Velarix, of the Zenthari Federation, floated above the assembly on his gravity platform. The Zenthari were ancient beings, their civilization older than the mountains of Earth. Velarix had 4 arms, blue skin that shifted colors with his mood, and eyes that had seen empires rise and fall. Today, his skin was the deep purple of cold judgment. "The vote is complete," Velarix announced. His voice was translated into 1,000 languages simultaneously. By a count of 1,812 in favor, 47 against, and 91 choosing not to vote, the motion has passed. Earth and all human territories are expelled from the Galactic Compact. Daniel felt his heart stop. He had known this was coming. The signs had been clear for months, but hearing the words spoken aloud made it real in a way that preparation could not soften. Around him, alien delegates reacted in their various ways. Some chittered with satisfaction. Others hummed in what might have been sympathy. Most showed nothing at all. Humanity was just another species to them. Interesting for a moment, then forgotten. The humans will have 90 standard cycles to remove themselves from all compact space. Velarix continued. Any human vessel found in compact territory after this period will be treated as hostile. Any human colony that remains will be forcibly relocated. This decision is final and cannot be appealed. Daniel activated his speaking platform. His voice was steady, though his hands shook. "May I ask what crime we have committed? What law we have broken?" Velarix's skin flickered with annoyance. "You have broken no law, Ambassador. This is not a punishment for wrongdoing. This is a preventive measure for the safety of the Compact." "Preventive?" Daniel asked. "We have been members of this Compact for 60 years. We have fought beside you against the Drovic swarm. We have shared our technology freely. We have—" "You have grown too fast," interrupted Counselor Thren of the Melodari. She was a creature of living crystal, her voice like wind chimes. "When you joined the Compact, your species numbered 8 billion. Now you number 40 billion. Your colonies spread across 200 star systems. Your ships grow more powerful each year. Growth is not a crime," Daniel said. "It is when it threatens others," replied Admiral Krex of the Vorthan Empire. He was a massive reptilian being, scarred from countless battles. "Your military strength now rivals the top 10 compact species combined. Your people do not know their place. They push boundaries. They question authority. They fight back when they should submit." Daniel stared at the Admiral. "We fight back because we refuse to be victims. Is that truly why you fear us?" "We do not fear you," Velarix said, though his skin betrayed him with a flicker of yellow. "We are simply being cautious. The galaxy has seen aggressive species before. The Drovic were once a small civilization too. Now, they consume entire sectors. We will not make the same mistake with humanity. So you would punish us for what we might do, rather than what we have done?" "We would protect ourselves," Velarix answered. "The decision is made, Ambassador. You have 90 cycles. Use them wisely." The assembly began to disperse. Daniel remained on the platform, watching the delegates leave. A few paused to offer sympathetic gestures. Most simply walked past him, as if he were already gone. 12 light years away, on Earth, President Lisa Monroe watched the broadcast in the Situation Room beneath the White House. Around her sat the most powerful people in human civilization. Generals, scientists, diplomats, and advisors. The room was silent. Secretary of Defense Ryan Torres was the first to speak. He was a big man, with a soldier's bearing, and a temper that had served him well in war. They kicked us out because we refused to stay weak, because we actually defend ourselves when attacked, because we have the nerve to keep having children. They fear us, said Dr. Nathan Cole, head of the Advanced Research Division. He was a thin man with wild hair and glasses that he never seemed to clean. They fear what we might become. And honestly, after seeing the numbers, I understand why. Lisa raised her hand for silence. Understanding their reasons does not change our situation. We have 90 days to evacuate 200 star systems. That is physically impossible with our current fleet capacity. Then we prioritize, said Admiral Kevin Price, commander of Earth's combined military forces. We bring home everyone we can. We consolidate our population. We prepare for whatever comes next. And what does come next? Asked Secretary of State Hannah Webb. Where do we go? The compact claims jurisdiction over the entire Milky Way galaxy. There is nowhere for us to run. Thanks for watching. And is where you take stay. Thanks for watching. And is watch. Thanks for watching. Nathan Cole smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had been keeping a secret and was finally allowed to share it. Actually, there is somewhere. I was going to present this to the president next month, but circumstances have changed. He pulled up a holographic display. It showed a swirling cloud of light hidden deep within a nebula. My team discovered this 18 months ago. It is a natural wormhole, stable and permanent. It leads to the Andromeda Galaxy. 2.5 million light-years from here. The room erupted in noise. Lisa held up her hand again. Quiet. Dr. Cole. Explain. The compact has never explored beyond the Milky Way. They consider it too far, too dangerous, and unnecessary. But we have sent probes through this wormhole. On the other side, there are habitable worlds, there are resources. There is room for humanity to grow without limits. Ryan Torres leaned forward. You are suggesting we leave this galaxy entirely? I am suggesting we do what humans have always done when faced with hostile territory. The next 70 days were the most intense in human history. Every factory on Earth and in the colonies worked around the clock. Every shipyard pushed out vessels faster than anyone thought possible. Every citizen who could help did help, driven by a shared purpose that united humanity like nothing before. Captain Ethan Shaw stood on the observation deck of the Endurance, watching as the last cargo containers were loaded into the massive ship's hold. The Endurance was the largest vessel humanity had ever built, nearly 3 kilometers long and capable of carrying 3 million people in relative comfort. It was one of 12 such ships that would lead the Great Migration. Final loading will be complete in 6 hours, reported First Officer Megan Cross. She was a young woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice that never wavered, even in crisis. All passenger sections are at capacity. Life support systems are running at optimal levels. Ethan nodded slowly. And the other ships? The Perseverance, the Horizon, and the Destiny report ready. The remaining 8 colony ships will complete loading within the next 30 hours. We are ahead of schedule. Mactive. We are ahead of schedule. We are ahead of schedule. Ahead of schedule. Those words should have brought relief, but Ethan felt only the heavy weight of responsibility. 3 million lives on his ship alone. 36 million across the entire fleet. These people had trusted their government, their military, and their captains to lead them to safety. They had left behind homes, memories, and in many cases, loved ones who chose to stay behind. Not everyone was leaving. Some humans refused to abandon their colonies, choosing to take their chances with the compact's forced relocation. Others were too old or too sick to survive the journey. And some simply could not accept that their galaxy had rejected them. Down on Earth, the situation was even more emotional. President Lisa Monroe gave her final address from the steps of the Capitol building, surrounded by millions who had gathered to watch the great ships depart. "Today we leave behind a galaxy that does not want us," she said, her voice carrying across the crowd through countless speakers. "But we do not leave in defeat. We leave in defiance. We leave with our heads held high, knowing that we did nothing wrong except believe in our own potential." She paused, looking up at the sky where the orbital stations were visible as bright dots of light. Our ancestors crossed oceans in wooden ships, not knowing what they would find. They crossed prairies in covered wagons, facing dangers they could barely imagine. They flew to the moon in vessels that had less computing power than a modern watch. Every generation of humanity has faced the unknown and conquered it. We are no different. The crowd cheered, though many were crying at the same time. This was goodbye to everything they had known. This was the end of one chapter, and the beginning of another. In orbit, Ethan received the signal that all ships were ready. He took his command chair and looked at his bridge crew. These men and women had served with him for years. They had fought pirates, explored uncharted systems, and survived a dozen close calls. Now, they faced their greatest challenge. "Open a channel to all ships," Ethan ordered. "Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Shaw of the Endurance. In a few minutes, we will begin our journey to a new home. Many of you are scared. That is normal. Many of you are sad. That is expected. But I want you to know that you are not alone. 36 million of us are making this journey together. We carry with us the hopes and dreams of every human who ever lived. We carry the legacy of our ancestors and the promise of our descendants." He took a deep breath. "The galaxy voted to expel us. They thought they were sending us to our doom. They were wrong. We are going to build something in Andromeda that will make everything in the Milky Way look small. We are going to prove that humanity cannot be stopped by votes, by borders, or by fear. Set course for the transit point. Today, we make history." The 12 great ships turned as one, their engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. Behind them, Earth shrank slowly. A blue marble suspended in the infinite void. Many passengers pressed against windows for one last look at the planet that had given birth to their species. The journey to the wormhole took 3 days. The transit point was hidden in a dense nebula, invisible to casual observation. The compact had never found it, because they had never looked. Humanity had discovered it by accident during a routine survey mission, and they had kept it secret ever since. As the fleet approached, long-range sensors detected movement behind them. A squadron of Xanthari patrol ships had followed them, keeping a careful distance. "They are not hostile," Megan reported. "They are just watching, making sure we actually leave." Ethan said, "Let them watch. In a few hours, they will never see us again. Making sure we won. Making sure we." Dr. Nathan Cole was aboard the Endurance, monitoring the wormhole's stability. He had spent years studying this phenomenon, and he knew its secrets better than anyone. "Transit conditions are optimal," he announced over the command channel. "Each ship should allow 30 seconds between entries to prevent gravitational interference. Estimated transit time is 4 hours and 12 minutes. 4 hours. 4 hours to travel 2.5 million light-years. The compact's fastest ships would take millions of years to cover the same distance using conventional faster-than-light travel. This wormhole was humanity's greatest advantage, and they intended to use it. The Endurance entered first. As the ship approached the swirling vortex of light, Ethan felt a strange sensation, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Then the ship was through, and everything changed. The transit was smoother than expected. There was a moment of disorientation, a feeling of being stretched across infinite space, and then they emerged into a sky filled with unfamiliar stars. "Transit complete," Megan announced, her voice slightly shaky. All systems normal. Receiving telemetry from the advance probes. We are in the Andromeda Galaxy. Ethan stood from his chair and walked to the main view screen. The stars here were different, arranged in patterns that no human had ever seen before. Ahead of them, a spiral arm of the Andromeda Galaxy stretched across the sky like a river of light. We made it, he whispered. One by one, the other ships emerged from the wormhole behind them. The Perseverance, the Horizon, the Destiny, and all the others appeared in flashes of light, their crews cheering as they realized the journey was successful. Back in the Milky Way, the Zenthari patrol commander watched as the last human ship vanished into the wormhole. He turned to his crew with a mixture of confusion and relief. They are gone, he said. Wherever they went, they can never return. The human problem is solved. He was wrong about that. He was very wrong. 3 years passed faster than anyone expected. What had begun as a desperate fleet of refugees had transformed into the foundation of a new civilization. The planet they named New Eden was now home to 14 million humans, with new arrivals being born every day. Governor Michelle Drake stood on the balcony of the Colonial Administration Building, looking out over the capital city, where there had once been empty plains. Towers of glass and steel now reached toward the sky. Parks and gardens filled the spaces between buildings, green patches of Earth life thriving under an alien sun. In the distance, the spaceport buzzed with constant activity as ships arrived and departed. The council is ready for you, Governor, said her assistant, a young man named Tyler Ross. Michelle nodded and turned away from the view. The Colonial Senate was meeting to discuss the annual progress report, and the news was better than anyone had dared hope. The Senate chamber was designed to remind people of Earth while looking forward to the future. The walls were lined with images of the 12 colony ships that had brought them here, alongside maps of the new territories they had claimed. Senators from New Eden and the 3 other settled worlds waited in their seats. 3 years ago, we arrived in this galaxy with nothing but hope and determination. Michelle began. Today, I am proud to report that humanity is not merely surviving. We are thriving. She activated a holographic display showing the scope of human expansion. We have established permanent colonies on 4 worlds. Our population has grown from 36 million to 47 million. Industrial output has increased by over 300%. We have mining operations in 6 star systems, producing all the raw materials we need for continued growth. The senators murmured with approval. This was beyond their most optimistic projections. But our greatest achievement is not material, Michelle continued. Our greatest achievement is the alliances we have formed. The display changed to show 2 alien species. One appeared insectoid, with multiple limbs and complex compound eyes. The other was reptilian, with sleek scales and long tails. The Velar and the Sorthi were the first intelligent species we encountered in Andromeda. Both were initially cautious about contact, having suffered under the oppression of a galactic empire known as the Vorathi Dominion. When they learned that we were refugees who had been expelled by our own galaxy's dominant powers, they saw us as kindred spirits. She smiled. We now have trade agreements with both species. Velar biotechnology has helped us adapt Earth crops to Andromedan soil. Sorthi navigation techniques have cut our travel times between systems by 30%. In exchange, we have shared our manufacturing methods and our defensive technologies. Together, we are building something none of us could have built alone. Senator Derek Hammond rose from his seat. He was an older man who had served in Earth's military before the Exodus. What about the Vorathi? If they have oppressed these species, they will eventually notice us. What is being done about defense? Admiral Kevin Price stepped forward to answer. He had aged visibly in 3 years, but his eyes remained as sharp as ever. The Vorathi Dominion controls approximately 40% of the Andromeda Galaxy. They are aggressive, expansionist, and consider all other intelligent life to be inferior. However, they have not yet expanded into this region of space. Our presence here remains unknown to them. For now, Derek said. What about when they do find us? Kevin activated another display, showing the sleek forms of warships unlike anything built during the old days in the Milky Way. These are our new Phoenix-class battleships. Each one is equipped with quantum slip drives that can cross a light year in under an hour. That is roughly 70 times faster than the best ships we brought from Earth. We also have improved shielding, more powerful weapons, and a doctrine based on mobility and surprise rather than static defense. How did we develop such advanced technology so quickly? Asked Senator Rebecca Lane, representing the colony on Haven. We took what we knew and built upon it, Kevin explained. Freed from the restrictions of the Galactic Compact, our scientists were able to pursue research that had previously been forbidden. We also learned from the Valar and the Sorthi, combining their knowledge with our own. And frankly, necessity is a powerful motivator. Michelle stepped back to the podium. Let me be clear. We are not building a military to conquer anyone. We are building a military to ensure that no one ever expels us again. We will defend ourselves and our allies. We will not be victims. The session continued for several hours, covering topics from education to resource management to long-term expansion plans. By the end, the mood was optimistic. Humanity had faced the worst and come through stronger. Meanwhile, on the frontier world of Haven, something unexpected was happening. Engineer Sam Garcia was supervising the construction of a new orbital shipyard when his communication officer called him to the control room. Sir, we have detected something unusual. A signal, very weak, coming from the outer reaches of unexplored space. Sam frowned. What kind of signal? It appears to be a distress call. The pattern matches nothing in our database, but the mathematical structure suggests it was created by intelligent beings. Whoever sent this is in trouble. Sam thought for a moment. Haven was a young colony, with limited resources and even more limited military protection. Following a mysterious signal into unknown space was dangerous. But humanity had not crossed 2.5 million light-years to hide from challenges. Can we pinpoint the source? Yes, sir. It is approximately 40 light-hours from our position, near a rogue planet in the void between star systems. Inform New Eden of our findings. Then, prepare the survey ship Wanderer for departure. I want to know who is out there. The Wanderer was a small vessel, built for exploration rather than combat. Its captain, Amy Turner, was a veteran of the original migration fleet. She had volunteered for frontier duty because she missed the excitement of discovery. Setting course for the signal source, she told her crew. Keep weapons offline but ready. We do not know what we will find. The journey took 6 hours. As they approached the source of the signal, their sensors revealed a scene of destruction. Dozens of ships, their designs unfamiliar, floated dead in space. Most were burned and broken, clearly the victims of an attack. But a few still showed signs of power. Life signs, reported Science Officer Ben Cooper. Faint, but present. Concentrated in 3 of the larger vessels. Amy opened a communication channel. Unknown vessels. This is the human ship Wanderer. We have received your distress signal. Do you require assistance? For a long moment, there was no response. Then a voice came through, translated by their automatic systems. It was high-pitched and clicking. The sound of an insectoid species. You are humans? The ones who came from the other galaxy? Yes, Amy replied. We are here to help if we can. Another pause. Then, we are the Keth. We have been running from the Varathi for 200 years. Our people once numbered billions. Now there are only 8 million of us, scattered across these dying ships. We heard rumors of newcomers who were not afraid of the old powers. We came looking for you. Amy felt something shift in her chest. These beings had traveled across the galaxy, hoping to find help, and they had found humanity. Hold position, she said. I am contacting my government. We will send rescue ships. You are not alone anymore. She turned to her crew. "Record everything. This is going to change everything." Within hours, the first rescue ships arrived from Haven. Within days, word had spread across the human colonies. The Keth were welcomed with open arms. Their story of survival against impossible odds resonated deeply with humans who had faced their own exodus. Governor Michelle Drake met personally with the Keth leadership, a council of elders who had guided their people through centuries of flight. The eldest of them, a massive insectoid named Chirik, spoke for his people. "We have nothing to offer you," Chirik said through the translator. "We are refugees, broken and tired. Why would you help us?" Quote, Michelle smiled. "Because 3 years ago, we were refugees too. We know what it feels like to be." The integration of the Keth into human society was not always smooth, but it was always sincere. Humans and insects had very different ways of thinking, different social structures, and different needs. Yet somehow, they made it work. Dr. Laura Chen led the scientific exchange program between the two species. She had been a biologist on Earth, studying the diversity of life across human colonies. Now she found herself learning secrets that no human had ever imagined. "The Keth do not build machines the way we do," she explained to a gathering of human and Keth scientists in the Grand Laboratory Complex on New Eden. "Their ships, their tools, even their weapons are living organisms, engineered over thousands of generations to serve specific purposes." She gestured to a display showing a Keth vessel. "This cruiser is not made of metal and plastic. It is made of specialized organic compounds, stronger than our best alloys, but capable of healing damage over time. The ship is, in a very real sense, alive." Senior Keth scientist Threvik clicked his mandibles in the gesture that meant agreement. "And humans build with dead materials, yet achieve results we never dreamed possible. Your quantum slip drives bend space itself. Our fastest ships could not match such speed, which is exactly why this partnership is so valuable," Laura said. "Imagine combining our technologies. Ships that can heal themselves and move faster than light. Weapons that adapt to their targets. Communication systems that cannot be jammed or intercepted." The collaborative projects had already begun producing results. Human engineers worked alongside Keth bioarchitects to create hybrid systems. The first prototypes were rough, but they showed incredible promise. A new generation of technology was being born, greater than the sum of its parts. But not everyone was focused on peace and progress. In the Vorathi Dominion's capital world, Supreme Commander Voros reviewed the latest intelligence reports. He was a towering figure, nearly 3 meters tall, with armored scales and eyes that glowed with cold fury. The Vorathi had conquered half their galaxy through strength and ruthlessness. Nothing had ever stood against them for long. "There are rumors from the outer sectors," reported Intelligence Chief Nexar. "Refugees we have been hunting for centuries have found shelter. Some unknown species is protecting them." Voros turned his massive head. "What species? We do not know. They appeared approximately 4 years ago, seemingly from nowhere. They have established colonies in the void regions we considered worthless, and they are growing rapidly." "Then they are a threat," Voros declared. "We do not tolerate threats. Our fleets are currently engaged in the Spiral Arm campaign. We could divert forces, but it would slow our expansion." Voros considered this. The Dominion's strength lay in constant forward momentum. Every pause gave enemies time to prepare. "Send scouts first. Learn everything about these newcomers. Then we will decide how best to crush them." The scout ships departed within days, heading toward the region where humanity had built its new civilization. They did not expect to find anything significant. They were wrong. Back in Coalition space, the arrival of the Keth had accelerated human preparations for conflict. Admiral Kevin Price oversaw the construction of the largest fleet in human history, a combined force of human vessels and Keth organic ships. Supported by Velar fighters and Sorthi transports, the Coalition Defense Force was becoming a reality. "We have 200 capital ships operational," Kevin reported to the Coalition Council, a governing body that now included representatives from all 4 allied species. By the end of the year, we will have 500. Our production capacity is expanding daily. Is it enough? Asked Governor Michelle Drake. Against the Vorathi? Honestly, we do not know. They have thousands of ships, and they have been fighting wars for longer than humanity has existed. But we have advantages they do not expect. Speed, adaptability, and the fact that we are fighting for survival, not conquest. Those factors count for more than numbers. Keth Elder Chirrick spoke next. My people have faced the Vorathi many times. They are powerful but rigid. They follow patterns, rely on overwhelming force, and assume all enemies will behave as prey. Humanity does not behave as prey. Neither do the Keth, Michelle said. Not anymore. The first contact with the Vorathi came 6 months later. A coalition patrol near the outer boundaries detected approaching ships and moved to intercept. Captain Ashley Morgan, of the destroyer Swift, was the first to engage. 4 Vorathi scout vessels, her tactical officer reported. They are scanning us but have not opened fire. Ashley studied the enemy ships on her display. They were angular and brutal, designed for intimidation as much as combat. Each one was larger than her destroyer. But size was not everything. Open a channel, she ordered. The communication screen flickered, and a Vorathi face appeared. It was Nexar himself, commanding the scout mission personally. His eyes narrowed as he studied the human. You are the newcomers, he said. The ones giving shelter to our escaped property. We are the Coalition, Ashley replied calmly. And the Keth are not your property. They are our allies and our friends. Nexar made a sound that might have been laughter. Friends? The Keth are insects. Pests. They exist to serve superior beings or to be exterminated. You would do well to surrender them and avoid sharing their fate. We will not surrender anything. You are in our space now. Leave peacefully, or leave in pieces. For a long moment, Nexar stared at her. Then his face twisted into something resembling a smile. The Dominion will remember this arrogance. When our fleets arrive, you will beg for mercy, and there will be none. The Vorathi ships turned and departed, jumping to faster than light speed. Ashley let out a breath she had not realized she was holding. Contact New Eden, she said. Tell them the Vorathi know we exist. War is coming. The news spread quickly across Coalition space. For 3 years, humanity had been building in relative peace. Now that peace was ending. The Dominion would not tolerate defiance. They would come with their thousands of ships and their millions of soldiers. They would try to crush the Coalition, the way they had crushed countless others. But the Coalition was not like those others. President Daniel Grant, who had replaced Lisa Monroe after her retirement, addressed the combined populations via every available channel. We knew this day would come. We prepared for it. Now we must face it together. He stood before a display showing the Coalition's territory, small compared to the Dominion but burning bright with activity. The Vorathi believe that strength comes from fear. That power means domination. They are wrong. True strength comes from unity. True power comes from fighting for something worth protecting. We are humans. Keth, Velar, and Sorthi. We are the Vorathi Armada arrived 8 months after the first contact. 3,000 warships, carrying 20 million soldiers, emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Coalition space. Supreme Commander Voros himself led the invasion, determined to crush the upstarts who had dared to challenge his dominion. They will fall within weeks, he told his officers. No one has ever resisted the full might of our fleets. These primitives will be no different, but the Coalition had been busy during those 8 months. The defense network that awaited the Vorathi was unlike anything they had encountered before. The first battle occurred at the Karis system, a frontier colony with 2 million inhabitants. A Vorathi fleet of 200 ships moved to attack. expecting easy victory. Instead, they found themselves caught in a trap. Enemy fleet has entered the kill zone, reported Tactical Officer Ben Cooper from the command station on the defense platform. All weapons online. Hybrid mines armed and ready. Admiral Kevin Price, commanding the defense from the carrier Defiant, gave the order. The hybrid mines were a coalition innovation, combining human explosive technology with Keth organic compounds. They attached themselves to enemy hulls and ate through them like acid. 60 Vorathi ships were disabled or destroyed in the first minute of combat. Then the coalition fleet emerged from hiding behind the system's gas giant. 200 ships of their own. Smaller than the Vorathi vessels, but faster and more maneuverable. They swept through the confused enemy formation, firing continuously, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. "They cannot hit us," Captain Ashley Morgan reported with fierce satisfaction. "Our quantum slip drives let us jump between positions faster than their targeting systems can track." The Vorathi commander tried to regroup, to form a defensive formation. But the coalition ships were everywhere and nowhere. When the battle ended 4 hours later, 112 Vorathi warships had been destroyed. The coalition had lost 19. It was the first defeat the Vorathi had suffered in over a century. News of the victory spread across coalition space like wildfire. But Kevin Price tempered the celebration with caution. This was just one battle. They have many more ships. They will adapt. We must be ready. Supreme Commander Voros received the report of the defeat with cold rage. He executed the surviving officers of the defeated fleet and ordered his remaining forces to advance more cautiously. These newcomers were dangerous, but they were still outnumbered. Eventually, numbers would win. The war that followed lasted 18 months. It was fought across dozens of star systems, in the vacuum of space, and on the surfaces of contested worlds. The coalition used every advantage they had: speed, technology, knowledge of the terrain, and above all, determination. The Keth fought with a fury born of 2 centuries of persecution. They knew what Vorathi rule meant. They would rather die than return to slavery. Human soldiers fought alongside them, learning their tactics, sharing their technology, bleeding together on battlefields no one had ever imagined. The Velar provided intelligence, their vast networks of spies penetrating deep into Vorathi territory. The Sorthi kept supply lines open, their cargo ships running the gauntlet of enemy patrols to deliver weapons and food to besieged colonies. The coalition was not just an alliance, it was a family. The turning point came at the Battle of Nexar Prime, named for the Vorathi intelligence chief, who had first encountered humanity. A Vorathi armada of 800 ships attacked the coalition's main production facility, hoping to cripple their ability to build new vessels. Fleet Admiral Ethan Shaw commanded the defense. He had spent months planning for this moment, studying Vorathi tactics, identifying their weaknesses. Now, he put that knowledge to use. "They always attack in waves," he told his captains. "First the heavy cruisers, then the carriers, then the assault ships. They never vary the pattern. Today, we make them pay for that predictability." The coalition fleet split into 3 groups. The first engaged the heavy cruisers head-on, drawing their attention. The second circled around, using quantum slip jumps to attack the carriers from behind. The third, led by Ethan himself, waited in reserve. "Wait for it," Ethan murmured, watching the battle unfold on his tactical display. "Wait for it." The Vorathi commander, sensing victory over the outnumbered coalition ships, committed his reserve forces. The assault ships surged forward, eager to overwhelm the defenders. "Now," Ethan said. His reserve fleet jumped into battle, appearing directly above the assault ships. At the same moment, the Keth organic cruisers released swarms of small attack craft that had been hiding inside their hulls. The assault ships found themselves attacked from 2 directions simultaneously. Chaos erupted in the Vorathi formation. Ships collided with each other as they tried to maneuver. Commanders issued contradictory orders. Discipline, the foundation of Vorathi military power, collapsed. When the battle ended, 400 Vorathi ships had been destroyed, including Nexar himself. Coalition losses were under 100. It was not just a victory. It was a statement. Supreme Commander Voros watched the footage of the battle in his throne room. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he had not experienced before. Doubt. They are too strong, he admitted to his remaining advisors. We cannot defeat them through direct assault. We must find another way, but there was no other way. The coalition had proven that the Vorathi were not invincible. Other species under Dominion rule began to question their masters. Rebellions broke out on a dozen worlds. The Dominion, which had seemed eternal, was beginning to crack. The final battle came 2 years after the war began. The coalition fleet, now numbering over 1,000 ships, advanced on the Vorathi homeworld. They did not come to conquer. They came to end the threat forever. Voros met them with everything he had left. The battle lasted 3 days. Millions died on both sides. Entire fleets were destroyed. The space around the Vorathi homeworld became a graveyard of broken ships. In the end, it was Ethan Shaw who faced Voros in direct combat. The coalition flagship, the Ascendant, traded fire with the Dominion command vessel until both were crippled. Surrender, Ethan broadcast to the enemy ship. Your fleet is destroyed. Your empire is falling. There is no need for more death. Voros's response came through a crackling channel. The Vorathi do not surrender. We die. Fighting, or not at all. Then die, Ethan said quietly. But your people do not have to die with you. There was a long pause. Then, slowly, the remaining Vorathi ships began to power down their weapons. Their commanders, seeing the hopelessness of the situation, chose survival over pride. One by one, they surrendered. Only Voros refused. His ship charged the Ascendant in one final, desperate attack. Ethan gave the order to fire. The Dominion command vessel exploded in a ball of nuclear fire. Supreme Commander Voros, the terror of the Andromeda Galaxy, was dead. The war was over. The aftermath was complicated. The Vorathi Dominion did not disappear overnight, but with 6 years had passed since the vote that expelled humanity from the Milky Way. In that time, they had crossed to another galaxy, built a civilization, formed alliances, fought a war, and emerged victorious. They had accomplished more in 6 years than most species accomplished in 6 centuries. But while humanity was building and fighting in Andromeda, the Milky Way was falling apart. The Galactic Compact had expelled their most aggressive, most adaptable member species. Without humanity to absorb expansion from the outer territories, 3 member worlds fell to the Drovic swarm in the first 2 years. By the 4th year, the swarm controlled 15% of compact space. High Chancellor Valorix of the Zenthari stood before the assembly, his skin the gray color of exhaustion and despair. The great hall that had once bustled with 2,000 species now held barely half that number. Many had fled. Others had been consumed. We are losing, Valorix admitted. The Drovic advance faster than we can retreat. Our fleets are overwhelmed. Our colonies are falling. In another year, perhaps 2, the compact itself will cease to exist. Counselor Thren of the Melodari, her crystal form dulled by stress, spoke quietly. We made a mistake. We expelled the humans because we feared what they might become. Now we face extinction because they are not here to help us. They would never help us, growled Admiral Krex of the Vorthan. We threw them out like garbage. Why would they lift a finger to save us now? Because they are human, said a new voice. Ambassador Daniel Grant's son, Matthew Grant, had inherited his father's position after Daniel's elevation to the coalition presidency. He had returned to the Milky Way through the wormhole as part of a diplomatic mission. Despite everything you did to us, we have been watching. We know about the Drovic. We know about your losses. The assembly fell silent. Matthew walked to the central podium, the same place his father had stood 6 years ago. My father stood here when you voted to expel us. He asked what crime we had committed. You said we had committed no crime, that our removal was merely preventive. You were afraid of what we might become. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of dozens of alien delegates. Well, you were right to be afraid. We have become something greater than you could have imagined. We crossed to another galaxy, built a civilization from nothing, and defeated an empire that had enslaved half of Andromeda. We did all of this in 6 years. Why are you here? Velarix asked. Because my father believes that grudges are for the weak. Because humanity does not abandon those in need. Even those who abandoned us. We are here to offer you a choice. Matthew activated a holographic display showing the Coalition fleet. Over 3,000 warships, representing humanity and all their allies, waited at the wormhole's Andromeda terminus. They were ready to transit to the Milky Way. We can help you defeat the Drovik. Our technology, our ships, our soldiers, combined with your remaining forces, would be enough to turn the tide. But this is not charity. We have conditions. Name them, Velarix said without hesitation. First, the Galactic Compact will be dissolved. In its place, we will establish a new organization based on true equality among species. No more votes to expel members for being too successful. No more restrictions on growth and development, the delegates murmured, but no one objected. The compact had failed them. They were desperate for any alternative. Second, Earth and all human territories will be recognized as sovereign and independent. We will rejoin the galactic community, but on our terms. Agreed, Velarix said immediately. Third, and this is the most important condition, you must acknowledge what you did. Not just to us, but to all the species you have marginalized over the millennia. The compact maintained peace through control. The new order will maintain peace through cooperation. This is not negotiable. Quote, there was a longer pause. Admitting wrongdoing was difficult for beings who had considered themselves the rightful rulers of the galaxy. But the alternative was extinction. We acknowledge our mistakes, Velarix finally said, and we accept your conditions. All of them. Matthew nodded. Then the Coalition fleet will transit within the hour. Admiral Shaw will assume overall command of combined forces. Prepare your ships to follow his orders. The transit was the largest in history. 3,000 Coalition vessels emerged from the wormhole, their quantum slip drives flashing as they took up formation. At their head was the Ascendant, rebuilt and upgraded after the battle that destroyed Voros. Fleet Admiral Ethan Shaw stood on its bridge, looking out at the stars he had not seen for 6 years. Strange to be back, said Megan Cross, still serving as his first officer. I thought we would never see the Milky Way again. Neither did they, Ethan replied, gesturing toward the compact fleet that was assembling nearby. But here we are. Let's make sure we give them something to remember. The combined fleet moved toward Drovik space. The swarm had never faced opposition like this. They were used to overwhelming individual worlds, consuming their populations, and moving on. They were not prepared for an enemy that could outmaneuver them, outfight them, and outthink them. The Battle of Zenith Reach was the largest military engagement in recorded history. 14,000 ships clashed in a star system that had once been home to 3 billion beings. The Drovik committed their entire remaining fleet, confident in their numbers. The Coalition and Compact forces met them head-on. For 16 hours, the battle raged. Ships died by the hundreds. The void was filled with wreckage and bodies. But slowly, inevitably, the tide turned. Their queen ships are vulnerable, reported Kevin Price, commanding a strike force of the fastest vessels. If we can destroy their command structure, the swarm will lose coordination. Ethan ordered every available ship to support the attack. Human, Keth, Zenthari, and Vorthan vessels fought side by side, united against a common enemy. The queen ships tried to retreat, but Coalition quantum slip drives cut off their escape routes. One by one, the queens fell. As each died, thousands of Drovik drones became confused, attacking randomly or simply shutting down. The swarm's greatest strength, their collective intelligence, became their weakness. When the last queen ship exploded, the battle was effectively over. The remaining Drovik scattered into the void, mindless fragments of a once mighty force. The swarm that had nearly conquered the galaxy was broken. Ethan opened a channel to all ships. Today we proved something important. We proved that when different species work together, they can accomplish anything. We were expelled from this galaxy because we were feared. We returned because we chose to help those who feared us. That is who we are. That is who we will always be. In the aftermath of the victory, the Galactic Compact was formally dissolved. In its place rose the Unified Galactic Coalition, modeled on the alliance humanity had built in Andromeda. Earth was given a permanent seat on the High Council, as were the Keth, the Velar, and the Sorthi. President Daniel Grant addressed both galaxies from the steps of the new Capitol building on New Eden. 12 years ago, I stood in the Galactic Assembly and heard my species condemned. Today, I stand as president of the largest coalition of intelligent species ever assembled. The journey from that day to this was long and painful, but it brought us here, to a future brighter than anything we dared imagine. He paused, looking up at the stars. The galaxy voted to expel humanity. They expected us to die in the darkness between stars. Instead, we found new light. We made new friends. We built new civilizations. And in the end, we saved the very galaxy that rejected us. This is not the end of our story. It is just the beginning. 2 galaxies now stand united under a banner of peace and cooperation. Who knows what we will accomplish together? Who knows what wonders we will discover? The universe is vast, and our destiny is still being written. Most humans chose to remain in Andromeda, in the civilization they had built with their own hands. But the wormhole remained open, connecting the 2 galaxies. Ships passed freely between them, carrying trade, knowledge, and new relationships. Keth workers walked the streets of Earth cities. Human engineers helped rebuild Xanthari colonies. Velar diplomats negotiated peace treaties in the Compact's former territory. Sorthi merchants opened trade routes spanning millions of light-years. The species of 2 galaxies had learned that the universe was too big for isolation, too dangerous for division. Together, they were stronger than any of them could be alone, and at the center of it all stood humanity. Once rejected, now respected. Once exiled, now essential. They had been cast out, so they would fade away. Instead, they had forged a new destiny among the stars. The universe would remember them forever. The end. Out Voros, without their fleets. They were a shadow of their former selves. The coalition did not seek vengeance. They offered peace to any Vorathi who would accept it. Many did. President Daniel Grant addressed the coalition from the ruins of the Vorathi capital. We did not seek this war. It was forced upon us by those who believed might makes right. We proved them wrong. Endogram. Now we have a chance to build something better. A galaxy where strength means protecting the weak, not exploiting them. A galaxy where different species can live together in peace. Let us seize that chance. The Coalition of Free Worlds was formally established that year. Humans, Keth, Velar, Sorthi, and dozens of other species joined together. Even some Vorathi, tired of endless war, petitioned for membership. In the Milky Way, the Galactic Compact watched in silence. They had expelled humanity, expecting them to vanish. Instead, humanity had conquered an entire galactic empire. The implications were terrifying. But humanity was not finished yet. Their destiny was still being written. Coalition. And we will not be conquered. The response was overwhelming. Volunteers flooded military recruitment centers. Factories increased production. Scientists worked through the night on new weapons and defenses. A civilization preparing for war. Admiral Kevin Price met with his senior officers to plan their strategy. We cannot match them ship for ship. We need to be smarter. Hit them where they do not expect. Use our speed to strike and withdraw before they can respond. Make them fear shadows. Captain Ethan Shaw, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, nodded in agreement. We have spent 3 years preparing for this. Every ship we built, every technology we developed, was for this moment. The Vorathi have never faced an enemy like us. No, Kevin agreed. They have not. In the darkness between galaxies, the wormhole that connected Andromeda to the Milky Way continued to pulse with energy. Occasionally, a compact patrol ship would scan the nebula that hid it, looking for any sign of the exiled humans. They never found anything. They assumed humanity was dead, but humanity was very much alive, and they were about to show the universe what they could do when pushed too far. Cast out, to have nowhere to go. Humanity does not abandon those in need. The Vorathi will come eventually. They always do. By sheltering us, you make yourselves targets. Then we will be targets together, Michelle replied. And together, we will be harder to destroy. The alliance between humanity and the Keth was formalized within weeks. It was the beginning of something larger than either species could have imagined. The coalition was born, built on shared suffering and shared hope. In Andromeda, the cast-offs and the exiled were learning to stand together. And across the galaxy, the Vorathi Dominion continued their expansion, unaware that a new power was rising in the darkness. In Andromeda, the fleet regrouped and set course for the star system they had designated Vega, where probes had identified 4 potentially habitable worlds. The journey would take 2 weeks at standard speed. During that time, plans were made. Engineers designed cities that could be built quickly, with available resources. Scientists studied the data from the probes, identifying which world would serve as their primary colony. Leaders discussed governance, resource allocation, and the 1,000 other details needed to build a civilization from scratch. President Monroe, who had traveled with the fleet, addressed the combined population via ship-wide broadcast. We have arrived in our new home. The hardest part is over. Now, the real work begins. We will build a society here that embodies the best of humanity. A society based on freedom, cooperation, and the belief that every person has value. The galaxy that rejected us will someday look across the void and see what we have accomplished, and they will know that they made a mistake. As the fleet moved deeper into Andromeda, hope began to replace fear. They were pioneers, explorers, and builders. This was what humanity did best. The Compact thought they were getting rid of a problem. Instead, they had unleashed a force that would change the universe forever. The Great Migration was complete. Now the real adventure could begin, Nathan replied. We find new territory. We explore. We adapt. We survive. Lisa looked around the room. She saw fear in some faces, determination in others, and hope in a few. She thought about the billions of people who depended on her decisions. She thought about her children, her grandchildren, and all the generations yet to come. Begin preparations, she said quietly. 90 days is not much time. We need to start immediately. As the meeting broke up and her advisors rushed to their tasks, Lisa walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over Washington, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars, a new home was waiting. The galaxy had voted to expel humanity. They expected humans to fade away in the darkness between the stars. They did not understand that darkness had never stopped humanity before. It was time to forge a new destiny.